Hey friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Emma Lefebvre, and today I'm going to show you how to paint some of my favorite flowers and foliage. Let's get right to it. Okay, so today I'm going to be painting flowers that I personally love to paint. It's very rare that I actually do things that I personally just enjoy myself. And I actually don't think I've done a video like this where it's just I'm painting what I want. And it might be not what you expect. Usually I do a lot of roses or peonies, which I also love, but there are some foliage and flowers that I absolutely love to paint. And so today we're going to sit back and relax, and I'm going to take you through step by step of how to paint these flowers, loose flowers. Okay, so I'm painting in the Perfect Sketchbook by Etchr Lab. It's cold pressed. I have my Winsor Newton Professional Watercolors with me, and then I have my Emma Lefebvre Craftimo brushes. If you are watching this in real time, there are currently a few more units left to buy. They will be sold out soon, so if you're interested, I'd get them now. If you're watching this at a later date and they're sold out, I'm sorry, it was a limited time run. But I have my round brush in a size 12 or size 6, so use whatever round brush you have. Water, paper towel, and we're ready to start. Okay, so the first flower that we are going to be doing is a delphinium. I actually love painting stocky flowers. I don't know why, they're just like delphiniums or lilacs, just that kind of like cone-shaped flower where there's lots of little buds, because the way I do it, where it's loose, you get these incredible bleeds and stuff, and it's just super fun and relaxing to do. So I'm going to take my size 12 brush, and I'm just going to zoom you in a bit. All right, and you can choose whatever color you want for this. I'm going to choose some cobalt blue. I'm going to wet up all my paints, and some dioxazine purple for this. And then I'm just going to wet up some sap green. And I think that's good. All right. So we're going to start off by taking some cobalt blue in our palette. Again, you can use whatever color you like. I'm just going to mix a little bit of purple in there as well. You could always mix a little bit of pink. And we're just going to start by taking a really light wash of that first color. And when you're doing these kind of flowers, you want your paintbrush upside down where the point is facing in. And we're just going to start off with a couple buds at the top, just using the shape of our brush to create them. We're just going to do kind of these really loose, even lighter than that. I'm going to take some more of that color off. Loose bud shapes. You can even just draw it out with the tip of your brush. Okay, so they're not going to be like 1, 2, 1, 2. You're going to have some coming in the middle, some coming out here. And then once you move down, they're going to be a little bit bigger. Okay, and I'm really just making these like messy shapes. And I'm going to leave some white space in the middle of the shapes to put a little bit of yellow there later. Like they barely even look like flowers. Okay, but I'm just leaving a little bit of white space in there. Do one in the middle here. Okay, you want to try and keep them fairly wet because we are going to go back in. We're just drawing these really rough shapes. Okay, try and keep it wet. If you need to go back over some that look like they're drying, do that. And they can just move and be a bit bigger towards the bottom. Not too big. Like so. Maybe a couple buds down here. Like so. Then I like to go back in, maybe a little bit of purple. Actually, maybe a little bit of permanent rose. And I just like to tap some darker color in there, maybe a bit more permanent rose, around some of those white areas. Just have a range of color in there, so it's not just one flat blue color. You can even make some of them fully that color if you want. There's no rules. So they're starting to dry down here a bit, so I'm just going to go over them. Okay, you can even add some more purple buds. Grab some more blue. Might even grab a bit more darkness, so a bit more blue. And just tap it in different areas, maybe around those little white spaces where the centers will be later. Like so. Okay, then I'm going to wash off my brush. I'm going to grab my smaller size 6 brush, and you want to make sure it's not too sopping wet. You don't want to you want to make sure your brush isn't too crazy wet, because once we add the green throughout, you don't want it to take over the blue. So wet your brush, make sure it's wet and ready to go. Dry it off in your paper towel a bit, and then pick up some of the wet paint. Okay, you don't want your brush dripping wet. If you need to make sure, just tap it on your paper towel a bit just to make sure it's not bleeding everywhere. And you're going to start at the top with a very light pressure, and you're just going to start by doing like a little stem here, and you're going to start gently touching, going through and touching each of the buds in a spot, and it's going to bleed into the flowers a little bit. Okay, so think of a stem running through the center. You can start with that if you like. And you want to do this while it's still wet, so you do get some of that color bleed. Okay, and then I'm just going to branch off and touch little parts. I do like the color bleed, so I am letting that happen. You don't want it to be like crazy, like taking over, but you do want to see that greenery coming through. Okay, and there's going to be some areas where it might take over a bit, and that's okay. And at the top here, I'm going to do really light wash of green, some extra little green buds where they haven't bloomed yet. So just little buds. Like so. You can even have some coming out the sides here if you like. So you might see that you're getting a couple weird blooms. Like, I'll just do a close-up. So like right here and right here. And that's happening because this started to dry and then I added that green. Typically when I'm doing this on my own, I would go faster. So I make sure that, you know, the flowers are the same amount of wetness of the stem that I'm putting down. But for the purpose of this video, I wanted to slow it down a bit. So if that happens and you don't like it, you just might need to speed it up a bit. You can always lift that color up a bit if you like, if it's just bugging you. Okay. I am going to take some darker green. Just a little bit of this darker perline green, and I'm just going to go up the stem just to make the base of some of these a little bit darker. Again, using very, very light wash. You don't need to use a lot. Okay. Like so. Like that. Okay. And that is one of my favorite flowers to do. Oh, and then we need a little bit of pop of yellow. Again, I would do this a little bit faster when it was wet. So I'm just going to use a tiny bit, because I would have some of the yellow typically bleed into the purple, but that's okay. I'm just going to do just a couple yellow dots. Some parts are still wet in some of the centers. Like that. Okay? I feel like some of that is a little bit dark. And there we go. There is like one of my favorite flowers to do, a delphinium. And that is that. My next favorite flower to do is kind of like a Cosmo, but I'm going to show you what I love doing about this. And you can do this with any bigger flower too. So I'm going to make smaller little flowers, but it's the way you add the lighter value and then the darker value to really make these like beautiful color bleeds. So I'm going to start by using this peach color that I mixed up. This is from before, but I just like it. It's permanent rose and some cadmium yellow, I think. And I'm going to take a really light wash with this, and I'm just going to use my size 6 brush. And again, I'm kind of creating really messy petals, like so. We're just going to go around 1, 2. Don't worry too much about the shape, just kind of have fun with it. 3. Here, we'll do one that's like fully, the full petals all the way around, like it's open completely, like so. Nice light wash, and then what I like to do, wash off your brush, dry it, grab a darker color, so like this pink, and you're just gonna touch where they all meet in the center. Again, not too much water or paint on your brush. You don't want it to like explode everywhere. You just want a little color bleed, and then a little bit at the top. If it's too much, just tap your brush on your paper towel, like so. Okay, let's do another one. We'll have one that's kind of like facing this way, so we're going to have long petals over here. 1, and I always have the point of my brush facing inward. 2, we can have it bleed into this one if we want. 3, and then I do this like little kind of C-shape scoopy to get a different perspective. Okay, again, grab our darker color right in the center. I almost sometimes drag it inward, so you get this little line like that, and tap around the tips of the flowers, tap around the base here if you want, like so. Okay, and when it dries, you're going to get this really nice soft blend. That looks a little weird, so I'm going to just dry my brush on my paper towel a little bit and just move it around a little bit. And you can have some like lines come up if you want, like so. I find these kind of flowers look really pretty in a bouquet. Okay, let's do another one. This one I'm going to have facing, hold on, I'm just going to move this over here. There, I'm going to have this one facing down. So we're going to have the long petals this way. Okay. It's a little lesson in perspective. I've done a couple of them, so just look up a floral perspective if you want a full tutorial on how I kind of do that. But typically, whatever way the flower is facing, the longer petals go the way the flower is facing, and then you're going to have that little kind of C-curved petal at the base. And that just helps gain a different perspective of your flower so they're not all open like this. Okay. Grab your color and let it bleed. And you just get these really beautiful soft bleeds that really soften the flowers and make it look so pretty. Like that. Okay, let's do like one more up here. We can even make them a bit smaller. We'll do one more that's fully open. Again, like just really messy. Have them touching in one little spot. Like, look how messy that is. But they end up looking cute. They end up looking cute. All right. Like that. Like that. And again, you can do this with any color. You don't need to use a peach and a pink. You could do this beautifully with like the light blue and then like the purple as the darker color. That would be really nice too. Just gonna bring it up a bit more, like so. And then let's do like one that's kind of like a little bud. So I'm just gonna take that really light peach color. Like it hasn't even opened yet. And we're gonna connect them all with like stems with like stems. No, with stems. Sorry, I don't know why I'm saying like a lot today. Or like this one's starting to open. Okay, and then towards the base and the tip, like so. All right, now let's grab our green. And I'm just gonna start off, let's do this one first. I'm gonna start off kind of like a stem here. Like that, and I'm just gonna branch off. It's gonna touch the base of this one. I don't want it to bleed too much, so I'm gonna start here and then drag away. So touch it just slightly, but then drag away. Because if I leave my brush there, you're gonna have more of an explosion of color at the base. Okay, I'm gonna bring it up here. Those ones are dry, so you're not gonna get those color bleeds, which is fine. Again, I would probably do this a bit more quickly so I could get those wet bleeds with the green, but you don't have to. And then I'm just gonna do like little bits of greenery kind of coming from the base. Like that. And then I would add maybe some more stems. You could do like buds, you could do little leaves. If you want, they're kind of like Cosmos, but they're not. You're just, I'm imagining whatever flower I want in this instant. I'm not copying a flower. They're kind of the shape of a Cosmo, but not necessarily a Cosmo. You can do whatever you like. I might even add a bit more darker green to the base of some of these leaves. Again, grabbing a bit of darker green and just tapping to give a little bit more shadow and depth. You can add it at the tip, the base, like so. Okay, and then lastly, you're gonna do the center of the flower. I'm gonna pick like a yellow ochre color, or you could use whatever yellow you have on hand. Again, not a lot, and you're just gonna do little dots. You could do a dark stamen, a light yellow stamen, whatever you want, whatever feels right to you. And that one wouldn't have a stamen. Like that. And there is my other favorite flower to do. Okay, so those are like my two favorite flowers. And now I'm just gonna talk a little bit about foliage, so like greenery. One thing I love about adding to like a bouquet at the end are really tiny, tiny leaves. I don't know why, but I always find that like it always adds a little something extra, and it's always like the most satisfying part of the piece. So I'm gonna grab, for this, you won't be able to see my palette, but I'm gonna use sap green, and I'll just use some of my perline green, which is a dark green. Again, you can use whatever greens you like. And I don't know why I find this super satisfying to do, but I do. So I'm gonna grab my sap green, and with really light pressure, my size 6 brush, I'm just gonna start off by doing some stems. And this is just great to add to any bouquet, whatever you want. You can just add some stems, and all you're gonna do is just use the tip of your brush and a little bit of pressure to add these tiny little leaves. I don't know why I enjoy doing this so much, but I do. It's almost like a 2-stroke leaf. I feel like I could have made those a bit thicker or thinner, the stems, but it's okay. Like a 2-stroke leaf. Actually, I don't know if I'm going to be using the darker green for this. You're just kind of staggering them. And I just feel like it's such a pretty filler. You could grab a little bit of that darker Just add a little bit to the base, like at the stems if you wanted. Just delicately place it throughout. Totally up to you. Like so. Let's do another one just for fun. I'm going to add a bit of yellow to my sap green. Make it a bit more. And do another one here. And maybe one here. Really light, thin strokes. I feel like this is one of the most calming things to do. And you can just take your time. You don't have to rush. You just enjoy. Maybe I'll do darker green, I don't know. Mix it with the lighter green. So it's just like two little, oops, side by side using the shape of your brush. But I find they just look like really good fillers, and it kind of just adds a bit of contrast to your bouquets after. Like so. It's just fun to do. I'll might make the stem a little bit bigger at the end. Like so. And that's it. Okay, so that's the first foliage. And then my next favorite foliage to do would be eucalyptus, to mix like my perfect eucalyptus color. I'm going to show you. So I like to use Hooker's Green, which is a nice, beautiful green, bit of dioxazine purple. Those two mixed with even parts make a grayish color. See, it's gray. You want it a bit more green, add a bit more green. I'm going to add a little bit of turquoise to it to make it more on the blue side. Okay, and then I'm going to water it down. So I'm just going to put it in my water jar, my brush in my water jar, tap it on my paper towel, and we're going to start off by doing a long stem with this really light wash, and we're probably going to make it brown later anyway. And then all you're doing, again with my size 6 brush, is doing these kind of like rounded leaves. Okay, rounded leaves have maybe like a little point at the end, and then you're gonna just do, they're like the what are they called, the silver dollar eucalyptus. Okay, light wash, and then you can do some that are flatter so it looks like there's a different perspective of them. You can have another one coming out this way. That. So you're just doing these rounded leaves. Okay, and then while they're still wet, what I like to do is go back in with darker color, tap the bottom, tap around the top, the base where it meets the stem. You could even do like a little line kind of connecting while it's still wet. Again, if there's like a little bleed that seems a bit too harsh, just wash off your brush, dry it, and just move it around however you like it. Okay, again, let's start with our light wash. You can even have one kind of right in the middle of the stem, like that. Okay. And again, grabbing your more pigmented part and just tapping the bottom, or you can just do like, oops, like I said, a little line down the center. This one would be going that way. That's okay. Okay. And then I'm going to take a little bit of burnt umber. So my brown here, just a bit, not a lot of water on your brush. Tap it on your paper towel if you need to. And I'm just going to go along the stem, and if it bleeds into some of the leaves, that's okay. You kind of want that little bit of brown at the base. Like so. Okay, and I think that's so pretty. And there is your eucalyptus. So those are my 4 favorite flower foliage things that I just actually really enjoy painting. I just find them so relaxing and fun to play around with. So I hope you guys enjoyed it too. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.